Hello, my friends. It is day 93, and we're reading Judges chapter 10 through Judges chapter 12. But before we get into today's recap, I want to thank you for taking a moment to check out this video. And hopefully, you're enjoying the yearly Bible reading plan. And hopefully, you have already accepted the challenge to be a part of this incredible group. If not, you can check out the description box below, and there you'll find a link that will take you directly to the YouVersion Bible app. And there you can accept the invitation and join a number of people across the entire world reading the Bible every single day and leaving feedback on the things they're learning and discovering through God's Word. So we're excited about everything that's happening. We are again reading in the book of Judges, and as you all know, this is a book that is dedicated to demonstrating how Israel has somehow become overcome by the individuals who are there in the land, and they require a judge, what is called a judge, which is uniquely different from a king, but it is one who will lead them through the various battles and attacks as they cry out to God for help. And so a judge is essentially a person that God sends to help the nation of Israel as they return to him and therefore go throughout the land and conquer various people. And so we're looking at these judges, and we're understanding a very interesting thing about the nation of Israel. It is simply that every time God gives them what they ask for, they seemingly go back into what they were doing before, as if God just didn't, redeem them and rescue them from the hands of their oppressors. And we find this habit continuing on and on and on. And finally, God says something to them that helps them understand how tired, if you will, he's getting at with doing this. In Judges chapter 10, verse 11, it says, after the Lord, or rather, after Israel had cried out to the Lord, admitting their sinfulness, admitting that they have served Baal and abandoned him, he says this in verse 11: Did I not rescue you from the Egyptians, the Amorites, the Ammonites, the Philistines, the Sidonians, the Amalekites, and the Moabites? When they oppressed you, you cried out to me for help, and I rescued you. Yet you have abandoned me and served other gods, so I will not rescue you any more. Go and cry out to the gods you have chosen. Let them rescue you in your hour of distress. And it says, But the Israelites then pleaded with the Lord and said, We have sinned. Punish us as you see fit. Only rescue us today from our enemies. And so you see that God is getting tired. His long suffering is running out. And Israel is saying, listen, we know we messed up, but please give us one more chance. And I can tell you, and you probably can admit to this, there have been a million times we've asked God, Lord, please give us one more chance. And every time God does that, we blow that opportunity to prove to the Lord that we are serious and that we won't go back and do the things we've done before. And so as we look at this text, we can see ourselves in the passage and we can understand what's happening here. And it makes us very careful not to point our fingers and wag at Israel too much, because perhaps if we were in those similar circumstances, we'd do the same thing. But what we find is that God nevertheless sends another judge, and Jephthah is one of the individuals who is the individual that God sends. And essentially, he is able to overcome the enemies that Israel faces in this particular circumstance. Now, one of the things that is startling about the passage we read today is that he made this vow that if the Lord would give him victory, then he would obviously give an offering to the Lord. And if you look at chapter 11, it says that they go out, and he says this in verse 30. If you give me victory over the Ammonites, I will give to the Lord whatever comes out of my house to meet me when I return in triumph. I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering. Well, the Lord gives Jephthah the victory, and the first thing that comes out of his house when he returns from the victory is his daughter. And it's a heartbreaking thing to read. I remember thinking through this years ago and just wondering exactly what is meant by this. But I love the way the New Living Translation actually breaks this down, because essentially what we find is that his daughter is given as an offering, and Jephthah keeps his vow to the Lord, which is essentially the point of the text, that he made a commitment to the Lord, and he has kept that commitment that he made, even at the expense of giving his daughter. And so there's so much going on here, and there's so much we want to take note of. One of the things is, firstly, we should monitor as individuals the vows we make to the Lord, hence the expression concerning, or the mentioning of Jephthah in this vow, and the contrast of what Israel has been doing all this time, not really keeping their vow, but always asking God for help. It emphasizes how important it is for us to remember what we commit to and hold to it as firmly as we possibly can. If you look at chapter 12, you'll see there are a number of judges mentioned here in short order. And then it prepares us, obviously, for the coming of one of Israel's most famous judges, that is Samson. And so we'll read about that tomorrow. But we have a lot to take in here, and we're going to continue to read and study and understand what the Lord is saying to us. And prayerfully, we'll be better by what we're learning and discovering. I'd love for you to share what you're discovering in God's Word. Leave a comment in the comment box below, or go over to the YouVersion Bible app and leave your feedback there. I believe you'll be a blessing to many people who are studying just as you are. And I know we will be blessed by the commentary that you provide. But until next time, let's keep reading. Let's keep studying together. And remember, live by the word.